Caregiving can sometimes feel like an impossible struggle. Caregivers may be torn between taking care of loved ones and trying to maintain balance in life. The good news is that it doesn't have to be that way. The Caring Generation with host Pamela D Wilson is here to focus on the conversation of caring. You're not alone. In fact, you're in exactly the right place to share stories and learn tips and resources to help you and your loved ones. So now, please welcome the host of The Caring Generation, Pamela D Wilson.
This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiving expert, speaker, consultant, and guardian of the Caring Generation. The Caring Generation focuses on the conversation of caring, giving us permission to talk about aging, the challenges of caregiving, and everything in between. It's no surprise that needing care or becoming a caregiver changes everything. The Caring Generation is here to guide you along the journey, to let you know that you're not alone. You are in exactly the right place to share stories and learn about caregiving programs and resources to help you and your loved ones plan for what's ahead. Invite your aging parents, spouses, family, friends, and colleagues at work to listen to the show. If you have a question or an idea for a future program, share your idea with me by responding to my social media posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or LinkedIn. I've been receiving a lot of questions from caregivers asking what is most important. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video called The Top 5 Daily Responsibilities of Caregivers that talked about basic things all caregivers should be attentive to. I feel that this week's program about caring for elderly parents, what matters most, takes this idea to the next level. It combines activities that the healthcare system is focusing on that are also important for aging adults and their caregivers. The 4M framework that I will share will help you learn how to manage healthcare decisions and make good choices about daily life. I'll combine these ideas with my 20-plus years of experience and add additional insights and practical information that you can use. Involvement in the healthcare system, hospitals, doctors, nurses, vaccinations, preventative medicine, health screenings, home care, palliative care, hospice, and care communities are all part of age-friendly living. The other two are money, so financial planning and saving for retirement and healthcare expenses later in life, and then legal. By legal, I mean estate planning. For example, appointing agents under a medical and financial power of attorney, creating a living will, a will, and a trust. While the healthcare system recommends what's called advanced care planning, they talk about this in the context of making health care decisions separate from all of the family issues that I know happen and you know happen that should be addressed in legal planning documents. So it's important to take information not directly related to medical care in the proper context and realize that it is best to consult experts in these areas. Honestly, in all areas of life, when you have important decisions to make, seeking advice from multiple experts to gain a broader perspective can be beneficial. It can stop you from making unintended mistakes. So let's start with number 1 of 4 for caring for elderly parents. What matters most is actually discussing what matters most, which is a broad topic, meaning that elderly parents and caregivers must become interested and involved in health diagnoses by talking about expectations of health and how much or how little care you want. Adult children and spouses can become very attached to the outcomes, meaning the results of actions taken by elderly parents or husband or wife. How do you know if you are overly attached? Here are a few signs. Do you disagree with loved ones about what you think they should do for care or activities in their daily life? Are elderly parents refusing care or refusing to listen to your recommendations? If so, one of two things might be happening. First, you might be too pushy, insensitive, or controlling. You want everything your way. You might not be asking, listening, or considering what your elderly parent or spouse wants if it's different from what you want. Or, two, you may have great intentions and have vital information to share, but you aren't going about sharing or presenting the information in the right way. So mom, dad, husband, or wife may not understand or even be interested in paying attention to you. In caring for elderly parents, what matters most is initiating conversations about topics that may be uncomfortable to discuss. What do you know about a parent or spouse's current health conditions and how these will advance? If you don't know, now is the time to investigate and learn, and I'll explain how you do this in a couple of minutes. Do you know what effort a loved one wants to put into their health? For example, if an elderly parent was diagnosed with some type of cancer, would they want to go through chemotherapy or radiation? Now, obviously, you would need to have conversations with medical providers about what the treatment of chemotherapy or radiation looks like. Will it stop the disease? Will it improve daily quality of life? You'd want to know the results. I know some people who would say yes to these treatments, I want to live, and others who would say, nope, if it's my time, then it's my time. I don't want extensive treatment. What do you think if this happened to you? Do you or your loved ones want feeding tubes and breathing machines? Do you want to be treated in the intensive care unit at the hospital if this becomes necessary? How much medical care do you want? Or is being comfortable and avoiding pain and extensive treatments more important to you? These are critical thoughts to consider and bring up the idea of learning about home care and palliative care and hospice care so that you understand what these mean. You may not know much about these topics today if an elderly parent's health is stable. However, when caring for elderly parents, what matters most is the first of the 4 M's, and it's possibly the most emotionally difficult because you are talking about care from today all the way to a loved one dying. Let's talk about number 2 of the 4M framework of an age-friendly health system, which is mobility. You might hear this and think, mobility? Why is that important? Well, being in good physical condition affects everything a body does, like how you get out of bed in the morning, your ability to shower, get dressed, get in and out of a car, and drive to work. Play with your children or grandchildren. Take your dog for a walk. Go golfing, hiking, skiing, and more. It's not until we have an injury that affects our daily ability to perform one or more of these activities do we consider how vital physical fitness or strength really is. Another simple example. How many of you do spring or fall cleaning, maybe yard work, washing windows, getting down on hands and knees to scrub floors? Or maybe it's just some activity that you rarely do. What do you notice? Is your body sore the next day? Soreness results from the non-use of body parts or general inactivity. As most individuals age, less time is devoted to daily physical activity that works our heart and our muscles. So how do you know? I'm going to share a few words that you might have heard, and know that my intention is not to make fun of people who are out of shape or overweight, but to share terms that caregivers share with me for what I call those soft or squishy spots on our body that weren't there before. So with age, we have the opportunity to have one or more of these and to change one or more of these. It can take consistent effort to get rid of bat wings, muffin tops, cankles, double chins, saddlebags, love handles, moobs, spare tires, or pooches. If you notice any of these, I can tell you there are plenty of videos on YouTube about how to get back in shape. Why is any of this relevant specific to getting older? Well, watch your aging parents or grandparents. Do they walk unevenly? Is it difficult for them to stand from a chair, get out of bed, get in and out of a car, stand for an extended time, or walk any distance without becoming exhausted or out of breath? If so, these are the mobility concerns that result in hip fractures and permanently living in a nursing home. Sitting too much can result in very serious pressure sores, poor circulation, or blood clots that can result in a stroke. Remaining physically active and strong is the best way to choose how you want to live past the age of 55, 65, 75, 85, 95. The less physically active you become, the more likely you are to have increasing health problems and need more care from other people. I know the word exercise can be a turnoff for many people. If that's the case, then call moving around something else. Caring for elderly parents. What matters most is daily physical activity of some sort. If your parents don't like to be active alone, suggest that they find a walking buddy or someone to golf, hike, play tennis, or do other things with. Socializing is a very positive factor for good health. Talking with others instead of being alone or watching television all day keeps the aging mind sharp. Being alone or isolated for long periods of time is a negative factor for health that can lead to feelings of isolation or depression. The 4 M's that we are discussing are also important for family caregivers to consider no matter their age. If you work on all of these from a young age, you will be way ahead of the age-friendly curve. Outside of the healthcare system, age-friendly means a lot of things. For example, an age-friendly neighborhood has certain features that support the well-being of older adults. I want to share a list of domains of livability according to AARP's Network of Age-Friendly States, and I'll include the document in the show transcript, so if you want to read it, you can come here and find that information. So when caring for elderly parents, what matters most on the topic of livability includes outdoor spaces and buildings for recreation, transportation services for elderly who no longer drive, and housing options for different income levels, including homes or communities that have been designed or modified for aging in place, plus opportunities for socialization through community events or local community centers. Additionally, some older adults want to remain active and work after formally retiring, so they participate in paid or volunteer positions that give them personal meaning and connection to people of all ages. Then there are opportunities for non-tech savvy individuals to learn technology because we're all becoming more reliant on smartphones and tablets and computers. These are benefits of age-friendly communities. So as you can see, there can be a long list of things for what matters most that falls outside of what the healthcare system provides. These are all conversations to share with your loved ones long before health concerns become significant concerns. And while you're having these conversations, think about answers to all of these questions for yourself. Sometimes it's not easy to know what we want until we examine and investigate options and really think about it. The goal of the first two of the 4 M's, what matters most, and mobility, are to establish preferences for how you want to live, your aging parents want to live, where you'll live, and if you will need care, how much care do you really want? Negotiating aspects of health and caregiving is a significant part of family relationships because adult children and elderly parents often disagree or spouses disagree. When caregivers have good intentions, it's easy to go too far in being helpful or giving up aspects of your life to care for elderly parents or a spouse. This is why having conversations about what is possible before caregiving hours start to increase in number is so important. After a short break, I want to share the Medicare benefit of advanced care planning and the annual wellness visit that all elderly adults over 65 qualify for, and that can really make a positive difference in daily living. If you're hearing about these for the first time, and I know many of you probably are, stay with me so that you have all the details and you can discuss both of these with your aging parents and their primary care physician who also may not be aware that these benefits exist. Pay it forward to help others dealing with health, aging, or caregiving issues by sharing information about this show and my website, PamelaDWilson.com. The Caring Generation podcast is available worldwide on my website and your favorite podcast and music apps that include Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, and more. You can find links to all of these on my website. And as a caregiver, know that you don't have to go it alone. Caregiving doesn't have to be a do-it-yourself job. You can visit my website to schedule a one-to-one telephone or video consultation with me. Click on How I Help, then Family Caregivers and Eldercare Consultation. You can also check out my online caregiver programs, resources, and support page. This is Pamela D Wilson on the Caring Generation. Stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Pamela D. Wilson, caregiving expert, author, and speaker on The Caring Generation, where there are now over 130 episodes responding to questions from family caregivers. Visit and share my website, PamelaDWilson.com, where you can find my caregiving library, Caring for Aging Parents blog, online caregiver courses, and more. We're back to the conversation of caring for elderly parents, what matters most, and a benefit that you should know about and ask about if you are over 65 or if you're caring for someone over age 65. The only qualifier is that you must have Medicare B for 12 months before requesting an advanced care plan meeting or an annual wellness visit. Let's talk about the advanced care planning meeting first and what this means specific to caring for elderly parents, what matters most. An advanced care plan meeting is a face-to-face meeting with a physician, or in some cases it might be a physician assistant, nurse practitioner, or certified clinical nurse specialist. The discussion centers around what are called advance directives. I relate advanced care planning to estate planning with an attorney, since these are discussions around legal documents that relate to future medical care if you, an aging parent, spouse, or someone else is unable to make decisions. At an advanced care plan meeting, you'll be asked who you want to make medical decisions for you if you cannot. Terms you may not be familiar with may be used. For example, a living will, a healthcare proxy, or healthcare power of attorney. In a living will document, you state the types of extensive care you want if you are in a life-ending situation. So, as I mentioned before, things like feeding tubes, breathing machines, and other mechanical or invasive treatments that keep the body alive but without quality of life. These are the decisions to discuss and consider and include in a living will. A healthcare power of attorney or proxy is a person, an agent you trust, and a backup person to make medical decisions for you if you cannot. In my opinion, advanced care planning isn't complete without talking about the financial aspects, which are outside of the realm of healthcare professionals. Here's why talking about money is essential. What happens if or when you outlive your savings, or you don't have enough income to pay for the care that you need? Delaying discussions about money can really raise the stress level in your family. Having these discussions early gives you time to make plans to apply for Medicaid and other public benefit programs if necessary. Additionally, the agents you appoint for medical and financial decision-making, if they're different, should agree on the care that you want because you specify it in the documents. They should follow your wishes. So let's say that the agent you appointed under a medical power of attorney is following your wishes, but the agent under financial power of attorney, who is someone else, disagrees about paying the bills. What happens when one agent withholds agreement? This is precisely the reason that, if at all possible, you have an attorney draft your documents instead of using forms provided by a hospital or healthcare system or forms you download from the internet because they don't include these unexpected situations. The goal of caring for aging parents, what matters most, is planning for the unexpected and avoiding potential negative or stressful events that you can prevent with a little bit of foresight. To prevent disagreements between the agents you appoint for medical or financial power of attorney, if they are not the same person, you can appoint a person to whom you give the power to settle disagreements or disputes. Taking this action makes it less likely that your agents will disagree, or at least if they do, then this person that I call the protector can follow your wishes and break the stalemate. Additional provisions in legal documents for health, financial, and a will can include establishing alternate or backup agents, or the power to remove any agent who may not be following your wishes or who becomes cognitively impaired and can't act reasonably or responsibly. All or one of these situations is common. They happen. Health system providers like doctors, nurses, and other medical staff, while having really good intentions, have no legal experience, so they can't really advise you. Next, in Medicare programs for caring for elderly parents, what matters most is the annual wellness visit that can be scheduled at the same time as an advanced care planning session. The wellness visit really offers an opportunity to review your entire medical and your family history, and it would be great if a family caregiver could attend this meeting with you so that both of you can learn about all of the medical concerns. Now, at this meeting, the doctor should discuss risk factors related to diagnosis and also consequences and treatment options. In addition to an in-depth discussion of health conditions, any specialists that you see and current prescriptions should also be reviewed. Basic measurements like height, weight, and blood pressure should be taken. And the doctor may also talk about preventative health screenings and vaccinations and make recommendations. Additionally, a cognitive assessment, so that's a mental assessment, a memory assessment, will look for signs of memory loss, and the doctor may also do screenings for fall risk if you are physically weak, or depression, or other conditions. As you can see, these Medicare benefits are very valuable, and they're something that you should request if your primary care doctor has not offered these to you. So let's turn to number 3 of the 4 M's framework of an age-friendly health system. This one is called Mentation, which may not mean much if you are the patient. I think, honestly, the healthcare system was trying to find another word that started with M, and mentation was the closest thing they could find. So what does mentation mean? Well, broadly speaking, it means the process or result of mental activity, which is pretty vague in my opinion. So more specifically, it means a review of cognitive or mental health. First, things like looking for a diagnosis like memory loss related to dementia, Alzheimer's, or some other condition. Then looking at depression, and then delirium. Most people sort of know what depression means, but may not recognize the signs. Thinking of an elderly parent or an aging spouse, are you noticing changes in energy level, interests, participation in social activities, any changes in appetite, more or less sleep, an inability to concentrate, lowered feelings of self-esteem, or any mentions of suicide? From a mood perspective, a depressed person may be more anxious, feel hopeless or helpless, cry, or want to spend a lot of time alone. One or all of these are reasons to see a doctor and ask for a depression screen. The other condition is delirium, and that's a medical condition that can lead to the need to take a loved one to the emergency room. Delirium can relate to mental health, memory loss, or general health changes. You might notice that a loved one sees things that aren't there, so has hallucinations. Other things, mom or dad may be more restless, agitated, or combative, especially if they have memory loss. They may be confused, have slurred speech, or can't speak in a manner that you understand. If you see any of these signs, call 911. Delirium can happen from not eating or drinking, being dehydrated or malnutritioned. It can happen from any type of infection that comes on rapidly, like a urinary tract infection or pneumonia. It can happen from imbalances in electrolytes, high or low blood sugar, a potential stroke, a lot of other reasons. Because of this, receiving treatment quickly is very, very important. Some infections can turn into sepsis, which is a life-threatening health condition. My mom died from sepsis. The last of the 4 M's framework of an age-friendly health system is medication. Medication use in persons over age 65 should be monitored very closely for several reasons. One is changes in the body that affect how drugs are metabolized or processed. So a prior level of drugs, say 100 milligrams, may be too much for someone who turns 65. That may need to be reduced to 50 or 25 because their body processes those medications differently. Taking medications incorrectly, too many medications at the wrong time of day can result in hospital emergency room visits. Additionally, all medications can have side effects that you may not realize are side effects unless you mention them to your doctor or ask a pharmacist or start writing down if you feel differently when you start to take a new medication or if there's been a change in a medication or if a medication has been discontinued. Here's the challenge with all of these 4 M's and medical care. While your doctor is the expert, you have to be the one to speak up and take an interest and ask questions. Doctors can't read your mind, nor do they have time. Not being an active participant in your care or having a caregiver who can help you attend doctor appointments can result in not receiving the care you expect. Based on more than 20 years of experience, older adults need extra care and attention from the healthcare system. If you're still seeing the same primary care physician you've seen for 40 years, it may be time to consider changing to a geriatrician or an internal medicine specialist to get the care you need. Aging is a medical specialty. This is the reason that more and more healthcare systems are participating in age-friendly programs like this 4M framework. when aging adults, their caregivers, and healthcare providers come together for these meaningful discussions about the 4M framework, better care and decision-making are very possible. Thank you for joining me for this week's program. If you want to share your story or have a request for a podcast topic, video, or article, visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com, and go to the Contact Me drop-down in the top navigation bar. Then click on Caregiver Survey and complete the survey. Please share the Caring Generation and my website with everyone you know who is interested in proven, reliable tips, information, resources, and research about caregiving, aging, health, and everything in between. This is Pamela D. Wilson, caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker. I look forward to being with you again soon. God bless you all. Sleep well tonight. Have a fabulous day tomorrow and a great week until we are here together again.
Tune in each week for The Caring Generation with host Pamela D. Wilson. Come join the conversation and see how Pamela can provide solutions and peace of mind for everyone. Here on Pamela D. Wilson's The Caring Generation.